Hello, my name is Dwight Smith, local art collector, arts patron, art lover. I decided to put together. I had this concept. It wasn't even putting together. It was a concept where doing what I naturally do in the art space, going to art shows, going to museums, hanging out with folks, and just sharing that experience. Back in, I think 2019, me and my wife, we were chair people for the Kansas City Artists Coalition. They had their annual auction, and that is when I met Dr. Nouhan, another person from my tribe and a fellow collector. I walked into her house and I saw a fantastic piece of work by an artist that is represented locally, Ann Lindbergh, and that's when I really started to notice and know. I said, you know what, so we kind of need to share this vibe with everybody else in the region. So that being said, I reached out to Dr. Nouhan. I said, hey, what do you think about creating a variety show that talks about, the regional local art scene and all the beautiful things that we have to share?
I thought that was a great idea. And Dwight, you're such a mover and a shaker. I mean, who wouldn't want to come along for that ride? But I am from the Midwest and St. Louis, actually, and I have a long history of appreciating art, and I had a long career as a plastic and reconstructive surgeon, and so maybe some of those creative vibes, branched over into appreciating
I love
art,
your podcast. I love your podcast. I'm not gonna lie. I heard you on the podcast, and I was like, I got to do the show with her. So it was like a double whammy between being an art collector and your podcast. I was like, this is going to be amazing.
Yes, so, absolutely. So.
I look forward to our journey and sharing some great experiences with folks in the region. I know your love for the arts, is tremendous, and I can't wait to see some of the things that we're able to experience and share with folks around the region and around the world, hopefully.
You know what I love about art? Art is just so powerful, and it has the ability to evoke emotions, thoughts, and sometimes even spur you to act. It's amazing. Whether it's the joy you find when you experience colors, patterns, rhythms, or sometimes the shock value that some art creates. And art is also an equalizer.
Absolutely.
It really doesn't matter your culture, your class, your creed, your color. It is for everyone, and everyone can be stimulated and moved by art. And that's such a unique form of communication that I think this world lacks right now. So I'm really excited to be part of this project, and there is so much art in our region even that is underappreciated, artists that are underappreciated, and so
unnoticed.
Yes,
we've got some gems. So
under the radar.
Yeah. So to all you artists thinking about leaving the region, I'm trying to get you to stay. So hopefully with ArtMoves, we can share those things that move us, that move you, and hopefully we can create a space where people come to cherish those things that may not have been shared or seen, beyond the people who usually see art. So I believe that the Midwest region has a robust and fantastic art scene. It has a lot to contribute to the national and international conversation.
A lot of people don't know about it.
A lot of people don't know about it, and that was what was getting me. Was I felt like we were leaving things on the table.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really important to amplify and share all of those positive vibes, all that positive energy, and all those things that moved me and continue to move me on a daily basis, especially through art.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So come along for the ride with ArtMoves.
As I think about how a person experiences the testimony exhibit at the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art, what comes to mind is a roller coaster of emotions. These pieces from the 35 contributing artists are each unique and have a different yet specific point of view. As an observer moves through the rooms of the exhibit and encounters each artwork, they are compelled to see how the artist views the world and to experience the emotions right along with them.
Welcome back to ArtMoves. I'm Regina Nouhan.
I'm Dwight Smith.
and we are so excited to bring Testimony to you, this wonderful exhibition at the Nelson-Atkins.
There is a language created between artist and observer that does not always require words. We find moments of sadness and pain interspersed with joy and exuberance. Dejection and oppression sit alongside self-worth, beautiful pride, and perseverance. And I am so pleased that ArtMoves could help bring it to you, here, now.
Dwight, I really love this piece. This is one of my favorites, I have to say. And I think it does have something to do with the fact that it was the first piece that I saw, and I didn't know what to expect when I came to Testimony, and I was hit by the emotion that comes out of this piece. It really caught me off guard, and I was moved to tears a little bit because of the what the artist Kim Alexis Newton was able to convey with just a few pieces of fabric that are artfully put together and sewn together. Here we have this image of this young man who is dejected, exhausted, and perhaps has given up hope. He has let down his Black Lives Matter sign, and perhaps he feels that all of his efforts don't seem to make any changes, don't do any good. And then we see him enveloped by the woman, presumably his mother, who has nothing but love and peace in her face. And that just got me. It really did. And this is all in the backdrop of America. The red, white, and blue, the stars, yet this is the almost gut-wrenching emotion that is within our country and our community right now. So this is a particular favorite for me.
It's a beautiful piece. I mean, the details, the I am not a thread, the backdrop, it reminds me of like the universe. Even though we know it's the flag, I mean, just the speckles with the dots.
That's a great point.
It's like the stars.
Yes,
But I think that's such a common thread that we all understand this feeling.
Yeah.
We all understand. We know that embrace. We know that unconditional love, but we also know that young man's, his moment too, his mood.
Relate to
you can
it.
see it in his eyes. I mean, and it's almost, like in one of the eyes, it looks like you can see Africa in his eyes. The shape.
Good pickup.
Yeah, I understand why you love this piece. I understand it. It's such a fantastic piece.
Well, let's see a piece that struck you.
Oh well, I got to share one of my favorites. I got to share one of my favorites. So this is one of my favorite pieces from the Testimony exhibit. It's by Brother Glenn North. It is titled Blackness to Infinity, or Journey to a Corner of the Afrophonic Multiverse. This piece is like a manifesto for blackness, anti-blackness, abolitionism. I mean, it's just a fantastic piece. If you really study it and you really get in close, you can see there are a lot of pop culture references that are kind of, iconic within the black community. You can see them in there. He talks about reparations. He talks about Afrofuturism. There's so many elements to like theory in this, and that's what I really love about this piece.
I love this piece too, and I love, I have a science background, and so I just love the
Dr. Nouhan.
Yeah,
Dr. Nouhan.
I love the scientific nature of it, and it makes me want to come up, and I'm attracted to it. I want to study it. I want to look at each little piece and figure out how this affects this, how this works with this. And each little section has something to say, and that's what this wonderful poet does for us.
And I think that thought bubble kind of sums what you said. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. And I'm glad that it is here in this space, educating folks, giving them something to think about, something to look forward to in the future.
Well, we are so lucky to have Stephanie Fox-Knapp with us. She is the curator of this wonderful show, Testimony, at the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art. Stephanie, thank you for being here, and could you tell us about this show? How did it come about?
So Testimony was an exhibition that came about as the inaugural project for a new initiative here at the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art, KC Art Now. And it's one of those things that sometimes it takes somebody from outside the community to realize just what the community or Kansas City needs. So all credit is due to our new, well, now not so new, 2 years, I guess he's been here, William Keys Rudolph, our new Director of Curatorial Affairs. And it was really a privilege for me to think about, well, how would we kick this off? What would be our first show? And looking around at all of the artists here in Kansas City and thinking about those with whom we already have a relationship, those we wanted to foster a stronger relationship with, the African American Artists Collective, which that rose to the top. So this exhibition, to work with 35 artists, to have the opportunity to have these Zoom calls, these intimate conversations with them, to hear not only about what's going on in their personal lives, but in their studios, and to really give me, as just a curator and a person, I mean, it sounds silly to say a reason to get up in the morning, but a reason to really feel motivated about my work, especially at a time when the museum was closed for so long. This kept me going. I think you experience joy, you experience sorrow, you experience exhaustion, you experience hope, you experience other things that are certainly emotion laden, like history. All of these things are happening in the show, and this is a show where I feel like people have spent time talking with each other. Well, we talk a lot about trying to have the Nelson-Atkins be a place where visitors can see themselves. And one last kind of thing that I'm so excited about this initiative and testimony, KC Art Now, is that visitors are not only seeing themselves, but they're also seeing their friends, their neighbors, and we talk about thinking how a museum can be a really influential or inspirational or an aspirational experience for people. What does it mean, again, for some school kid to come through and see their community, the artists in their community on these walls? It's not somebody from 16th century Italy to aspire to.
Right.
It's Harold Smith to aspire to.
It's
Jason Piggy to
representation.
aspire to. It's Dean Mitchell to aspire to, and that's thrilling.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Michael Brantley, this is such a powerful piece, A Seat at the Table, that you painted. Tell us about it.
Okay, Seat at the Table is a portraiture I created this year specifically for this exhibit. I felt like I needed to say something. When I really looked into it, and I looked to a lot of the people that came before me who would speak on issues in terms of visibility and being seen as Black people in America. And what I realized is that most of the culture shifts or changed with art and entertainment. So this would be my approach to saying my part. The seat at the table represents corporate America to a degree that a lot of people take positions and jobs that are necessary in order to move their families forward and to move forward in this and have something to say in this America that we're a part of. We have to deal with the Confederacy and all the feelings that it brings up within the white people and the Black people. Some look at it as heritage, and it makes no sense to us because that heritage was our horror. In certain places it's totally white, in certain places it's totally Black, and in other places they share these. And them working together, it comes up with a whole picture. And I believe integration is the same way.
Dwight, this show is amazing, and I understand you curated it. What was the impetus of that, and what's the show about?
First of all, the show takes place on Wide Awakes Day. So it's a call to action day, October 3rd every year. And it's just basically a call to civic action, get involved with, the political process, whatever you decided to do in the political process, we just want you to be active. So I have a friend, she's fellow Wide Awakes. Her name is Michelle Pred. So me and Michelle were talking at the end of her show, and I was like, you know what, I would really like to do something for Wide Awakes Day here in Kansas City. And me and Michelle have been talking about it for actually a couple of years since, I said, I want to do a show with you in Kansas City. And we never found the right moment. And then after her show in St. Louis, we started talking a little bit more, reached out to 21C Museum Hotel, and they were most gracious and said, hey, if you can put it together, we'll host you.
And how can people find out more about the Wide Awakes?
Well, one, you can go to wideawakes.com. They have their own website, and you can get the entire back history. I could talk to you all day about the Wide Awakes, but it's an abolitionist group from back in the day, and it's been reimagined by today's artists to become this open source kind of civic call to action space, and it's really beautiful. The artists are doing some great things, as you can see. Artists all over the world are bringing that sentiment. Many of these pieces that you had the opportunity to see, that as you kind of pan through the room, many of these pieces have actually been in demonstrations, live demonstrations. Wow. So these are not just static pieces of art that got created and then got put into the art space, but many of these pieces have actually been up and down the streets of New York, London, Los Angeles, you name it. So
that's an inspiration.
It is, and it was very fun to be able to bring that kind of energy to Kansas City. I was very happy to be a part of that. I was also very happy to enlist and get some really fantastic local artists involved as well.
Cara Rooney quotes Jim Leedy as saying, "I'm phenomenally interested in outer space, the universe, the cosmos. I'm almost possessed by it. A lot of my work, in fact, is situated as if I'm floating through the cosmos." Again, it goes back to this idea of truth to material, or a discovery of material, because that's what connects us all. The cosmos are the materials that you and I are made of, and so, presently in my life, that's the basis of my work. It's about a truth to the cosmos, as well as being part of a constant state of change and involvement. I don't think I've ever made two pieces that are the same.
Dwight, it was important for us to be here at Leedy-Voulkos here in the Crossroads because we did lose a Kansas City icon in the art world, Jim Leedy.
Yes. Jim is, the foundation, one of the foundations for the Crossroads since the beginning. Right. Since the beginning, Jim and his vision for what could be here, and I think he's been kind of, a beacon for artists, beacon for our professionals, just a beacon for everybody in the arts community. And I loved his spirit and his openness and his willingness to just say, hey, let's give it a try.
And openness is such an interesting word because he transcended, so many different artistic mediums.
And then, immersing himself in the community in such a fashion that allowed other artists to grow and give them space. I think that's that trifecta, that art trifecta where you're like, okay, I'm not only gonna affect you with what I create, but just me being in space, period, and being a dynamic arts individual. Yeah. So, we can sing the praises of Jim all day, but I would love to, take a look at some of his key pieces while we're here. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek at some of his work.
Initially, this building, Leedy-Voulkos Art Center, was established in 1985. Really, this building was always intended for exhibition gallery space, but also to allow other artists to have live-work studios here. He was an art professor at the Kansas City Art Institute for 43 years. He ended up ultimately purchasing this building at 2012 Baltimore. The main level is over 10,000 square feet of exhibition space, and then the 3 floors above us are all live-work studios for artists. He was an amazing father, husband, grandfather.
What is one thing you can think of that he taught you as his granddaughter that you'll always treasure and hold?
It's okay to make mistakes. Making mistakes is part of learning. Let the little things go. Don't sweat the small things. It's okay to make mistakes, and mistakes can be beautiful.
So excited to see William Toney's studio.
Yes,
It's going to be fantastic, isn't it?
William is one of my favorite local artists, so this is going to be a special moment. Really looking forward to this.
Let's go.
Welcome to the studio. My name is William Toney. I'm a photographer based in Kansas City, Missouri. I earned a BFA from the University of Missouri in 2012 with the emphasis in photography. Since then, I've been living in Kansas City. I had studios at the drugstore in 2017. I've been at Charlotte Street Foundation since 2020. And this is my studio. I started making still lives out of found objects and floral arrangements, also including some of my clothing and tennis shoes from high school and childhood. But then I also would add different motifs such as the clippers or clipper guards for cutting your hair. So I was thinking a lot about sort of how still lives function, especially Dutch still lives, and sort of that dealing with memento mori and dealing with vanitas and things like that. And so what I started to include was, you know, acts of self-care, acts of adornment that I saw as a part of Black culture. What I really liked about the chaos in these is that I used the lack of color and black and white to sort of give it a more formal approach. So I'm sort of using a visual aesthetic that's more formal, but also using a composition that is more chaotic. And I think that that is sort of how I'm kind of working with this narrative right now. A lot of the images like this, I think, when I'm talking about construction and building, I've always thought that photography was really important to Black culture, because the ability to be behind the camera and have control of your narrative is something that we haven't always had access to, you know. And I think that that's a really big part of Black culture is performing for the camera and having the ability to see yourself the way that you want to be seen.
Hey, Dwight.
Hey, Regina, how you doing?
How about this 21C Museum Hotel?
It is a fantastic space. I absolutely love it.
It's a great place for our home base for ArtMoves.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm very, very happy that they allowed us to operate and, you know, bring the art moves to everybody from here. It's very appropriate. I love the space.
I know, they really hold art in high regard here.
Absolutely.
And that's inspiring.
Absolutely.
And who doesn't love the painting?